Hello and welcome to the Best on the Rock podcast. I am your host, Melissa Best, and today I've got a very special guest with me, Mr. Michael Davidson from the Traitors US Season 1. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to see your face. We've been chatting a little bit since Traitors Canada aired. And it's nice to see you kind of quote unquote in person.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's really nice yeah, I agree.
Yeah, to be able to see each other. So, first of all, happy Thanksgiving. I can't believe I made you a podcast on Thanksgiving. It's different in Canada. Like our Thanksgiving is beginning of October, and you guys are like now.
Really?
Yeah, like my Thanksgiving is, I don't know, remember the date, but
Yeah.
it's usually around the 10th or so, like that week. So, oops. Sorry about
Hmm.
that.
No, it's fine. I actually celebrated Thanksgiving yesterday, so I'm all good. I'm all good. I had nothing to do
Okay,
today anyway, so it's all good. Today is
good.
Thanksgiving, but we celebrated yesterday, so
Okay, perfect. So you're not going to fall asleep with a turkey coma while we're chatting.
I mean, I may fall asleep, but it won't be from a turkey coma.
Not with me. You won't fall asleep with me here. I will keep you awake. That's for sure. Um, so let's get into it a little bit. So I know you just because we're kind of like Trader fam now, I guess you'd say. We've both been on the same reality show, and I feel
Yeah,
like we're kindred spirits a little bit.
absolutely. I agree with
Yeah.
that 100%. We have like it's funny because you'll post stuff and I'll be like, I totally would share that same meme,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
I feel like we have very similar like beliefs and lifestyles. And I mean, even though we're like, I don't have a clue where you are in Canada. It's
Very
so funny because
far.
like when I think about Canada, when I think about Canada, I think it's just like there. But then I look at it on the map and it's like, oh, it's the same size as all 50 of our states. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah, I don't really know where you are. Like you're probably not next door neighbors with Erica. So
No, it's so funny because like even with Rick, he's been doing a cross Canada tour for a company he used to work with called Much Music, which is like Canadian MTV.
yeah.
And he's been doing like this tour, and every time he goes to the east, like easterly provinces, because I'm the furthest east of in all of Canada, so he'll go to like another province and he'll be like, hey Mel, I'm gonna be in New Brunswick this week, like do you want to come out to the show? And I'm like, cool, that's a plane ride for me, so probably not, but I do appreciate the invite. And he's from Canada, so you're not in the wrong for thinking that everything's close together, because it feels like it should be.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I think of like Niagara Falls right across the border, and then no, you guys are way over there at Washington too on that side.
Mhm.
Like, you guys have states. Like I don't know how it works, but
I know, and
yeah.
I'm the same way
Anyways,
when it comes to the states. I don't understand the difference between, because I'm a province
yeah,
person anyway. That's the same thing too. Like
yeah.
I don't understand. You guys do Fahrenheit for temperatures, and we do Celsius,
Hmm.
and that
Is it
Fahrenheit just
cold
throws me
there?
off. It's freezing here. Yes, today was, and again, I don't know if you're gonna know, but it was minus like 3,
I won't
which is
know.
freezing to me. That's not that cold. That's like mild for what we get, but like it was -3 today, and I was very cold.
I'm gonna have to Google it later. Like
Yeah.
the
What's the
yeah, translate
conversion?
that. But yeah, the conversion.
Is it
Yeah,
cold
it's
where
like
you are
20
right now?
degrees. Yeah, it's about 20 degrees here. Depending on the perspective, 32 degrees is considered freezing. So it's about 20
Okay.
degrees right now. So
Oh, wait. So the higher you go up, the
the
colder it
lower
gets?
the lower you go down, the colder it gets.
Okay, so you're below freezing.
Yeah,
Smart.
yeah.
I
So
just
like
had
if
a
I were to
knowing.
put a bowl of water out there tonight, it would be ice in the morning when I went out there.
Oh, okay. You're way colder than me though. I'm at the beginning of winter right now. So it's not too bad,
Mhm.
but am I frozen to you?
You
I swear.
are.
I'm having
You're
like
you're
these
20
weird,
degrees.
yeah, I'm having these technical difficulties. Hang on, I'm gonna pause this. Okay, we are back. We just had a brief intermission that nobody is going to notice because it's just going to run together because we paused the camera. But I'm having technical difficulties. We may freeze up a little bit and shut down. But this is our first episode. This is so welcome to my very first episode of the Best on the Rock podcast, Michael. You should feel very honored.
I do. I feel very, very honored. Very honored.
Good. So I want to get into a little bit about your reality TV experience, your background on like why you wanted to do your show, how it was when you did it, how did you get into it? Like give me some details here. Like how'd you get started on all this craziness?
Okay, so first, I'm a massive reality TV fan. Like my mama, she raised me, and so there wasn't really physically a whole lot she was able to do with me. She was like in her late 60s, early 70s when she took me in, and so she was disabled. She physically wasn't able to do a lot. We never went on vacation. We never did fun stuff because she physically wasn't able to. So we bonded over cooking and watching reality TV together. And so I remember watching like Big Brother with her, like way whenever I was a little kid, watching Janelle and Kaser, and I'm like, oh my, if she only knew that I've like spoke with Janelle, and Janelle's
Oh
actually
my
on season 2. So
gosh.
like, and I'm like, but she passed away in 2016. I wish that she was
Oh,
here to see this with me. I wish because she loved Rachel, and I'm like really good friends with Rachel. But anyway, so I've been a massive reality TV fan forever, and so I've always wanted to do Survivor, but I've been very insecure. I used to weigh 320 pounds. And so I just never really went for it because I'm really shy and easily embarrassed. And I was like, what if I'm the first person voted out? What if I fail? What if I do this? Everyone's gonna make fun of me. It was never once crossed my mind. Who cares? It's a super cool experience I can talk about when I'm 80. It was always, what if I fail? And the thing was, my fears were other people's opinions. It was
yeah.
never my own thing. And so I remember watching Suri in Survivor Game Changers. I think it was episode 10, season 35, 36, maybe 35, I believe it was 34, actually. I think it was season 34. She had a water challenge and she just bombed. I mean, she done terrible, but she never gave up. And it was like inspiring. And I was like, my biggest fear is that happening to me. And the feedback and the response that she got was like, whoa, you know? And so I applied for Survivor and I did fairly decent in the casting process. But like I said, I weighed 320 pounds at the time. I probably would have died and been airlifted out on day one. I mean, let's just be honest. And so I ended up getting cut. But through that process, I started following the casting people that I worked with. And every time they would tag somebody, I would follow that person too. It's like I'm networking, I'm getting to know every one of these people because I'm not giving up on my dream. And so I would follow somebody. That person would tag somebody. I would follow that person. That person would tag somebody. I would follow that person. And eventually I followed actually Aaron, who was our casting director, and then a lady named Jazzy. And Jazzy posted a flyer for Traitors. And I was like, you know what? That sounds fun. I'm going to send her a DM. And so my hope, I guess, was that I was going to send her a DM and be like, hey, totally interested in this new show you're talking about. There's most likely not going to be very many applicants for a new show. So maybe if I send her a DM, she'll just say, hey,
You're
let's
hired.
interview, right? Yeah. But no, it wasn't like she literally responded and said, well, apply. And I was like, oh, there's like
Hmm.
a million people probably applying. It's never going to work out. So I applied, and the very next day, I got a text message, and it was like, "Hey, my name is Meg Malley, and I'm a casting producer for the Traitors." And being the massive reality TV fan I am, like Meg Malley from Big Brother 17, that Meg Malley, like
Amazing.
Megan James, Megan James, like Meg married to Mike from Survivor. Meg, what? And so I didn't even respond about the show. I responded and said, from Big Brother? And she's like, it was a long time ago. And I'm like, no, you can't say this. I'm a massive fan. Like, what? And she's like, okay, we're talking about Traitors here, like, not my time
Yeah.
on Big Brother. And I'm like, no, we're talking about your time on Big Brother. You literally just texted me. And so, yeah, so she called me, and it was like the domino effect. I mean, day after day, I don't think a week went by. And I applied very late in the game. I applied January, I think January 18th is when I applied. January 19th, I got my text message. I had my first interview with casting on January 28th because it was my daughter's birthday. And I feel like a rock star on Big Brother. My daughter's birthday. And so But yeah, I was late for her party because I was on a Zoom. I had no idea what it would entail because my Survivor was pre-COVID, so it wasn't like all
Right.
on Zoom or anything. And so this interview lasted, for the love of God, like 2 hours. And I'm like, I don't have time. So I literally turned my phone off and pretended like my electricity went out because I was like, I'm never going to make it. I got to get to my daughter's birthday. I'm like 30 minutes late to my own kid's birthday party. I'm sorry. So, like 4 hours later after the party, I come home and I respond to the message that I got. And she's like, hey, something happened. I was like, sorry, my electricity went out. Totally lied.
Oh
It didn't
my,
go out. And so
amazing.
she's,
So you're perfect right there. You're like, when have you ever lied? Today.
but yeah, she's like, I think we got everything. We're good. And so a couple weeks into the process, I got to thinking, you know what? My dream is to be on Survivor. Most likely, I'm not going to be picked for Survivor if I do Traitors. So I
Mhm.
texted Meg and I was like, listen, what's the likelihood? I don't think I want to do this. I'm going to back out. And she's like, well, I can't tell you anything that's going on in the process, but I can tell you that you're very, very well liked. I don't think you should. I said, well, I'm going to. I'm going to back out. So I backed out.
Oh my
Couple days
gosh.
later, yeah, a couple days later, got another text message, and I was like, I really don't want to give up on my dream of being on Survivor. Survivor is my absolute dream. So I reached out to the casting producer that I worked with when I went through the process for Survivor, and I was like, "What are the odds of me being selected?" And she's like, "It's like a 5-year process, most likely. They're going to wait till you're forgettable,
Mhm.
and then maybe give you a shot." And so I was like, and so I was married at the time. So I was talking to my wife and I was like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, if it's meant to be, it's going to happen. Don't ever pass up on anything
Mhm.
cool. You don't know what the doors are going to open. There's so many people who's done crossovers and other shows that could happen for you. Don't ever pass up something cool. So I decided to text Meg back. I was like, okay, I'm all in. And I got the call probably the end of March that I had made it. And I flew to Scotland. And when I got there, I didn't even interview in person with the producers. They were
Wow.
already gone. I flew out 2 days before filming started. Everyone was already gone from the hotel. I had a Zoom interview like the night before with the production team and all the Peacock execs. And she told me on my Zoom call, she's like, you're in, you're golden. So the next morning, we're all like
Stop it.
meeting
I can't
everybody.
even handle it.
Yeah. So the next morning, where they come and get me and take me down the hallway to go get in the car to go to the castle. And the first person I see is Angelica. She was and then we went and picked up Quentin, and then we got to the car, and Shelby was waiting on us in the car. Well, while we was getting on the elevator, Christian was getting off the elevator to go get somebody else in his group. And it was just like I'm sizing up all these people, and then we get to talk a little bit, and they're like, "Man, I didn't even know I was on the cast until this morning. I didn't even find out I was flying out here till last week." And I'm like, "I know for a
Wow.
month. They told me up front." So and like hearing other people's podcasts, like Geraldine did a podcast with Brandy, and she's like, "Yeah, I didn't know until I got there. When I got there, there's no guarantee you're going to make it." And I was like, "Really? I did not have that same experience whatsoever. I knew a month before that I was flying to Scotland, and I knew immediately when I got there that I was on the show. So I don't know what everyone else's process was like, but everyone says it was different than mine. So I'm hoping that means I was very well liked. I don't know, but
Yeah, they were like, okay, this one, and let's cast around him.
yeah, let's pick the cringy one to like cause all the chaos and cry and everything, and then we'll just pick
Mm,
everyone else. So,
listen, you want to talk about cringing and crying on reality TV? We are two great people to talk to each other about it because, listen,
yes,
honest to God, so as you're talking, I can't say a whole lot about my casting process. I did
yeah,
have to apply, but holy, the similarities between what you did to get noticed and what I did to get noticed. I'm wondering like when your actual birthday is now, because I'm wondering, are we like separated twins because Michael, it is, I mean, we'll chat later, but like honestly, I think that's what people need to do if you want to get cast on these shows. Like my fever dream, or I guess fever dream now feels like Traitors because I've been there and I've been gone for so long. But like in all honesty, like my dream show was Big Brother Canada. that's the one that I had been going
Yeah.
out for. So same thing. I would follow a casting producer. When that casting producer would tag somebody, I would follow the next one. When you were talking about that, I was like, is this the system? Did we just find the system? Because yeah, I would do the exact same thing. So like you got to put yourself out there. Like just follow them and have conversations with these people. Like if they're
Yeah.
public. I don't think I've ever requested to follow a private person because I'm like, if they have have you? Okay, I'm gonna start. That's it. Michael Davidson told me
Absolutely.
to. I usually just like, oh, it's a public profile. I'll follow them. They're expecting people to follow if it's public, you know? So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just been very, very similar process. I do want to say, what is it that you called your grandmother?
I called her Mama.
Mama?
So
Am I saying that right?
Mama.
Mama?
Mama. Yeah,
Mama?
Mama.
Mama. Okay, I love that. But I couldn't remember it. I was like, I just want to say that like 100%. I know you said that you wish that she could see it. I know your faith too. She absolutely like, I'm sorry. You think she didn't have a hand in you getting picked and knowing a month ahead of time? Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know,
It was,
everything
and then
happens, you
what?
know?
Yeah, and what made it so crazy is, whenever I got there, we they took our phones and everything. We didn't have access to anything. They gave us like a little whatever they're called, like a little Roku, I guess, so that we could watch Netflix or something in our hotel room in sequester. But we didn't have access to
Nice.
nothing. They gave us a burner phone that did not even have internet access, and so we used the WhatsApp to call home. And so I called home, and my people that I was talking to, my friends, my family, I'm like, Google everything you can about this show. And so,
Don't
so my
cut this.
wife called me. So my wife called me like maybe 3 hours before midnight the night before, and she's like, "Oh my God, they just announced there's going to be 10 reality TV icons." I'm like, flipping Google who you think it might be. Go to Boston Rob's Instagram, go to
Yeah.
Parvati's Instagram, go to Cerie's Instagram, find out who it is. And so she was looking at everybody, and she's like, I don't know, Boston Rob's packing a suitcase. And I'm like, oh my God. And so
So you didn't
I don't
sleep
know. So
that
I
night.
did. No, I did not, because I did have a heads up that it was going to be 10 reality TV icons, but I had no idea who. I was assuming Boston Rob. And
Mhm.
then I got to thinking on my Zoom, they were asking me if I was a Big Brother fan. And they was like, do you like Dan Eastland? And so I was like, oh my God, Dan's going to be here. Dan's going to be here, and Boston Rob's going to be here. And so my researcher came in that night to tell everyone, good night. We're waking up super early. And so I told her, I said, a little birdie told me that there was going to be 10 reality TV. I don't know why, but I have a googly eye in my pocket. Do you say I don't know. I just found that in my pocket. I was like, what is this in my pocket?
Dad
But
life.
anyway, so I told the researcher, I'm like, word on the street, and she's like, really? She's like, well, let me let you in a little secret. Keep that hush hush, because if you do happen to know a big twist, it may be a big downer that you
Right.
already know about it. So just don't mention that. But just between us, who is a big name for you? Who do you want to see? And I was like, oh my God, Rachel Riley from Big Brother. I would die if Rachel Riley was there. And she just smiled at me. And I'm like, don't, you can't tease me. You can't tease me. And so we get there, and I was the very first person on the train, because they didn't show this. They showed very like zero point 0.2 nanoseconds of it.
Mhm.
Um, and it's been officially announced. Well, not like officially by Peacock, but like it's out there as to why. We can talk about it later, but as to why that wasn't shown. But anyway, I was the very first one on the train. We rode the Harry Potter train. It was the Hogwarts Express. It was super cool. And so
Amazing.
yeah. And so I get on the train, and there's little tickets that has people's names in the train car. And I was in a 4-person booth, and Andy sat down next to me, and in front of me said Cerie and Rachel. And I was dying. I was like, oh my God. So I look at Andy, and I'm like, what is do you know how to pronounce that name? And she's like, Theory, or they're like Theory, sorry. They're like Theory, and I'm like, you don't even know. Just hush. You don't even know.
It's
Don't
not
even know.
Siri. How dare you?
And yeah. And so yeah, the producer came back and is like, can we get that again? That was really good. Can you guys keep talking about that? And I'm like, absolutely. I can talk about Cerie all day long. And I was like, but I swear to God, if it's a little white girl from Kansas, I'm gonna be so mad right now. Like, I'm gonna be so mad. And so when we pulled up to the train station to pick up the celebs, I looked out the window and I was like, oh my God. And I just like melted into the floor. And I look over at Andy and they're like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, it's Serene. I can't breathe. It's Serene. And they're like, it's just a person. I'm like,
You
shut up.
don't
It's not just a
understand.
person. You don't
Yeah.
understand. Serene's the whole reason I applied. And
Wow.
so it was just like a full circle moment for me. Um, yeah, it was. I spilled my water, and I was like, "Oh God, what if Sari gets on? She steps in my water. She slips and falls. She breaks her hip. She's medically evacuated day one because of me." And Andy's like, "I think you're overreacting." And I'm like, "Oh God, you don't
I think
even
you're
know."
underreacting, Andy.
Yeah, yeah. If they only knew how bad of an overreactor I was in the game, then yeah, that was their heads up that I was, I am who I am. But it was a lot of fun. It's a big full circle moment for me, though. It really was.
That's wild. See, to me, I look at that as the universe putting in the work. Like that is,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you were watching that as a young child. Cerie's the reason that you apply. All of a sudden, like you're like that's just so cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh
I
my
really
God.
enjoyed it.
I love that. So Cerie and Rachel were obviously the two that you were most excited. Did you know everybody?
I knew
Sorry, did you know all
everybody.
the reality stars?
I did. I knew all the reality stars. I didn't know Brandy's name, but I knew
Hmm.
Brandy's face.
Hmm.
And I didn't know who Kate or Reza was because I don't watch the Bravo shows. And I didn't know who Kyle was. So Kate, Reza, and Kyle, I had no idea who they were. Lord, did I know those were the ones to prepare for? But it's really funny
Really?
because Kate was on the plane in front of me. Like she sat directly in front of me. And it was really funny because before takeoff, like I love the window seat, but in this particular seat, the back of her seat was in the middle of the window. So I had to lean up like this and look
Yeah.
out the window. And I was like just bored tapping like that on the window. And she's like, can you stop? And I was like,
Stop it.
somebody the B word today. And so, yeah. And so the lady next to me, for some reason, her husband was in front of her sitting next to Kate. And I asked her, I was like, do you want me to swap him seats? So me and Kate were literally like almost sitting beside of each other because I was like, can you want me to swap him seats? And she's like, no, that's okay. I know you want the window. I'm like, I do want the window. And then when we got there, we had a down moment from filming, and I was telling Kate, I was like, you were there, and she's like, did you hear me telling the guy next to me that we was going to be filming? I was like, no, I didn't, but that's so crazy because I almost was that guy that you could have been telling about, but I didn't know she was a
Wow.
celeb. I wasn't telling nobody what I was doing because I was like, they may
Mm-hmm.
be a member of production, and I'm not going to be like, I want to film a reality show.
Yep. They
But
could be a plant to just and then
yeah,
be
you
like, I'm
never
sorry,
know.
you breached your contract, you're out.
Yeah,
Like
I wasn't telling
I was
nobody.
paranoid too.
But
I was the
now,
same way.
yeah, but now, Amanda, I'm talking this whole thing. Just
Yeah,
take back
listen,
control.
I'm
I've
just
stolen.
I'm here to listen. Like I'm so interested. There's not much I'm
And
allowed to talk about for my show, so I just want to listen to you and then we can talk about life, but you carry on.
yeah, and so Amanda, she's the one who was eliminated due to COVID. She's probably my best friend. Actually, she is my best friend. And so we were talking about our experiences, and she's like, "Yeah, whenever I came, another one of the new faces was on my flight, and you could hear her all over the plane. I'm going to film a reality show." And so I was like sizing her up, like, and she's like, "We got off," and I'm like, "Wow, I would have
Mm-mm.
never in 10,000 lifetimes risked that." But
Mm-mm.
yeah, so a lot of people had loose lips, I guess, but
That's
I didn't.
crazy to me. Yeah, no, I was the same way. I was like, I'm going away. I think like my husband knew. My dad called my husband like 3 or 4 days. Well, I guess after 4 days I was back home, but like after I was gone like a day or two. And my dad was like, okay, she's not answering my messages. She's not calling me back. Like, and I had said to them, I think I told everybody I was going on like a yoga retreat, which is so not me. Like, I'll do fitness or something, but I was like, no, it's like this retreat and like they're going to take my phone. It's going to be so great. I'm going to unplug. And everybody was like, that's not believable. Am I frozen again?
Yeah, you are.
But you can hear me. It's just the camera.
I can hear you though. I
All
can hear you
right.
just fine. Yeah,
All right. We'll just leave
it's a lovely
that,
shot of you
that
though.
gorgeous,
It's a
sexy picture. Oh, she's gone. Okay. God. I think it's my camera that I'm having issues with. So that's fine. So YouTube will be annoyed and audio will be annoyed with me talking about it. So, okay. But yeah, my dad called my husband and was like, okay, why is she not answering our calls? And Drew was just like, I don't know. She's safe. All I can tell you is that she's safe. And he was like, and that I'm legally not allowed to talk about it. And he kind of gave him like, I think he gave him like a wink. Like, I'm legally not allowed to talk about it. I gave him like a little wink. And my dad was like, oh, okay. Is she on Big Brother? Now, okay. American Big Brother was getting ready to start. Canadian Big Brother, I think, is like ramping up
Yeah.
now. But my dad has known that I've been trying for Big Brother for so long. He doesn't watch it. So he just assumed if I was gone away that I was going to be on like the American Big Brother that they were filming in the summer. I was
Yeah.
just like, no, that's not what happened. But yeah, 4 days later, I was back home anyway. So I was like, oh, I just went away for work. And like, he just kept trying to get it out of me. And I would just be like, no, I just got away for work. I don't want to talk about it. Please stop asking
That's
me.
funny.
Like, yeah, but it was so like, what
I
an
will say,
experience.
yeah, absolutely. And I will say, like, I absolutely loved you. Like, I loved you. And I would much rather, um, and unfortunately, we see it a lot. We see people who are like under the radar, floaters, sheep, as you will. They make
Mhm.
it really far in these games because they don't speak up. And people say, I don't really care about them. They're not a
Because
target. There's
they're
no
not a
reason to go for
threat.
this person. And I would much rather be the person who took full advantage of this once in a lifetime opportunity. And I spoke up and I cried and I said cringy things and I made things awkward and I fought for myself and I yelled and I said embarrassing stuff than the one who said nothing.
100%.
And yeah, we had, well, I don't want to say we had a lot of people like that. I mean, we did, but like every show does, not just,
Mhm.
you know, to try, but every show does. And it's like, I watched it back and I'm like, what did you possibly say to get through the casting process? Like, what did you do to make them be like, that's the one? Because you're done, you know? And so I will say, hats off to you. You were very, very entertaining and very enjoyable. So,
Thank you so much. I had the most fun. So all I was thinking, and I think this is why I got figured out so early, because I am also a fan of, I'm not a fan of every reality TV show, but I'm turning into one now. I'm like starting to watch them
yeah,
all. But like I've just always been a fan of like Big Brother and then The Circle. I really enjoyed The Circle, The Traitors. Like I like that social strategy manipulating kind of game. Throw in a little bit of physical
yeah,
and, you know, Bob's your uncle. So when I was there, all I was thinking was like, what an opportunity I have. Like I remember because my car, like when we pulled up, because I arrived on a boat. I got half the cast was on a boat.
yeah,
So it was like 5 non-celebrities and 5 celebrities all met on a boat. And then there was another 10 people who was half and half that like came in their Nissans and like met us at the manor. So when I was getting on the boat, I remember I saw they had Kevin and Kuzi both on the boat and Fierce. And I remember I was like, I saw Fierce and I was like, okay, I don't know who this person is because I live under a rock. But I was like, I feel like she's a celebrity.
but you're the
Because she
best
was
one
like,
under it.
she was full drag, right? And but I looked at
Yeah,
Kuzi and I was like, oh my God, Kuzi's here. Like she was on Big Brother last year. She was my winner pick. Like I rooted for her. I was like, holy shit. And then I saw Kevin Martin and I was like, why didn't they give me Kevin Jacobs? Not really. Not really. I do love Kevin Jacobs. He's my favorite. But no, when I saw Kevin Martin, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like these are icons. And I just remember being on the boat and sitting between them and just thinking, am I really here? Like, is little old, you know, housewife realtor on this tiny island in Canada on this reality show? Like, did I really put myself here? I just was so proud that nothing was going to
yeah,
bring me down. So then when I'm there and they're like picking, I knew I was going to be a traitor. Like nobody told me. They didn't pick until I got there, but my bones, like my bones knew I was going to be a traitor. Like I got there and I was like, this is it. And they sat me next to Kevin at the round table. And I remember thinking when we put our blindfolds on, when I realized I was sat next to Kevin, I was disappointed because I was like, it's either going to be him or me. I honest to God, I was sure I was going to be a traitor. And I really thought Kevin was also going to get picked. So when they sat him next to me, I was like, there's no way they're sitting two traitors next to each other. So I think it's either going to be he's going to be a traitor or I'm going to be a traitor. And then I got
yeah.
picked, lost my mind internally. I don't even think I was thinking about like, don't breathe too heavy and all this. I still am like, Kevin, did you hear me squeal or something? Like when she tapped me, like, did you come on? Like, did I really change or could you just tell because you heard her tap me? Like, something's got to give.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a life-changing moment. And then I was like, oh my God, like out of all these 20 people, 3 of us are traitors. I knew it was going to at least be one reality show. So I was like, okay, or probably 2. And I just could not believe that I was the civilian who got picked for this main casting role. Like that was honest to God, like a dream come true. So the
Yeah.
last thing I was going to do was be quiet. Like in the
Yeah.
cars, I know Kevin was like, you were painfully obvious, but I wanted to talk. I wanted to talk game. I like, we were in the cars and everybody be quiet. And then they'd come on production and be like, hey guys, just so you know how this works, like we're headed to the mission. You're allowed to talk about your game. Like you're allowed to talk about your like they didn't say talk about this, but they're like, hey, if you could talk to each other,
Yeah.
we're going because we're filming. And so I would be like, so I'd sit there like, guys, so who do you think it is? So like, and I guess, that kind of outed me. I don't know. I was just trying to get the ball rolling and get some game talk going on.
Yeah.
And then, when I found out that it was me, there's a lot that got cut of like cringy
Yes.
moments. That like when I saw it, because there's like
Unfortunately, all mine made it.
oh dude, you
All
were
my
such good TV.
non-cringy.
You were
All my
such good
non-cringy
TV.
got cut.
My favorite was like just you yelling every time I hear the name. My daughter's preschool teacher is named Miss Geraldine, and I thought of you, and I was like, how funny is that like her name is Geraldine? I met her yesterday. I'm talking with you today.
Oh,
But yeah, like
yeah.
I don't know. It was just such an honor. So like when I was there, I was like, I will cry. I will send home my best friend. Like I don't care. Like Colin and I really connected, but I threw him under the bus like faster than anything because I needed to save my butt. I threw out like the day that I went home. My biggest mistake was that I threw out Kuzi's name. She was trying to get Rick out, and I didn't know she was trying to get Rick out, and I was trying to save myself. So I threw out Kuzi, Kevin, Crystal, and Fierce. And I was like, hey, pick one. So I started making up stories about everybody. So like, yeah, but like when I went out, it's because I went down swinging, and I was sad because I actually said that in my confessional at one point. They're like, how do you feel? What do you think is going to happen? Whatever. And I just remember I like looked at, I was like, why didn't that make it in? Because I looked and I was like, I'll tell you one thing. If I'm going home, I am not going home without a fight. Like I am going down swinging. They'll have to take me out kicking, screaming. And I did. Like you don't see the round table, but man, we went at it at that round table. That was like, you know what I want? I want a TV show, a Traitors TV show or web series of uncut roundtable footage. Just 3 hours, whatever. Wouldn't
Yes,
that be
absolutely.
great? Like that would be so cool.
It would be, ours was pretty fiery. Ours had its moments. So
yeah,
it was pretty intense.
Position were you when you left? Like what order did you go out? In banishments, like how many there was Geraldine went home before you.
I was the 3rd banishment and the 6th eliminated in total, but the 3rd banishment.
I was the 2nd. We were very close. So how did things change for you since the show?
Well, when I got home, I'm from a very small town. Like if you Google my hometown, it was ranked the 6th hardest place to live. Actually, no, it was ranked the 6th poorest county in the entire nation. And it was ranked the hardest place to live by the New York Times, just because it's so like poverty stricken. And obviously, I don't know if you watch American Idol because you're not American, but like back in the day, whenever Simon Cowell and all them was on American Idol, they used to do this segment called Idol Gives Back, where they would take celebrities to certain poor, rural, underdeveloped areas in the United States, and they would like bring in and put a spotlight on it and like do a bunch of charity work in that area. They used to come to my hometown every single year. Jennifer Garner came to my hometown and like read to the kids at school and like built houses for people. I mean, it's your stereotypical, you drive down the road and there's like a washer and dryer on the front porch and an old Trans Am on cinder blocks. You know, like
I'm starting to reconsider. I'm like, I'm like that too.
Yeah, it's one of those towns. And so when I got home, I got my own day. So January 12th is Michael Davidson Day in my town.
Stop
and
it.
So yeah. And so it was just
so
a lot of, I didn't have my passport. I never traveled. I got my passport specifically for the show. I totally lied during the casting process and said I did have it. I did not have it. And I applied and got it expedited for like $400.
Yeah. Worth
And
it.
so I got it. Yeah, in like 2 weeks it came in. I was like, I told you I had it, and I did not have it. I hadn't even applied for it.
Oh my God,
And
amazing.
so, yeah. But yeah, it's just been like insane. I've been afforded a lot of travel opportunities,
Mhm.
doing a lot of cool things, meeting a lot of new people. I've talked to Janelle, I talked to Erica and Kuzi and Leroy, like I don't know. It's just been like, as a reality TV fan, having people like Janelle send me a DM, be like, bro, I loved you. It was like, oh my God, what? So
Like honestly. So okay, that's
yeah.
how I felt. There was a poll, there's like a reality show account that I follow on Instagram.
Yeah.
And they put up a poll one day and it was like, who's your favorite traitor for Traitors Canada? And of course I picked myself. And then I DM'd something and I was like, because I think like Kuzi was number one or something. And I was like, well, that tracks. If it can't be me, I'm okay with being Kuzi. And he screenshot Rachel Riley's answer. And Rachel Riley had picked me. Well, my
Really?
day was I'm still talking about it. Like I was over the moon. I think I wrote you like right after that when I was like, hey, can you like text Rachel for me? But like honest to God, like when I got that message, I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I'm Rachel Riley's favorite on the show. I was like, I gotta be doing something right. Like this is ridiculous. So anyway, that made my day. I can't imagine what I would do if Janelle ever wrote me because it'd be the same. Well, of course, Rachel didn't actually write me. She just liked me on the show. Allegedly, she also could have been like trying to hit Kuzi and accidentally hit Melissa, but still, it showed up. So I was thrilled. And then,
Take
yeah, so
it.
like, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take that. Like, huge fan, right? So, like, that's been the coolest, I think, is like connecting with people from these shows
Mm.
who they'd never write you back otherwise. Like, there was a few
No.
Big Brother Canada people that I've been chatting with, like, and I'm friends with Tina from season 9 and Tara. Like, that was just through my own I call it stalking, but basically when I had my last podcast, I used to recap Big Brother Canada. So that's when I first was
Yeah.
introduced to Tina. She did a podcast episode with us, and then we wore her down until she agreed to like be my friend. Um, and anyway, so yeah, when Tara came to town, she introduced us to her, and we became friends. After I forced her, but
I love that.
all is good. Yeah. So isn't it so cool though?
It like it's funny because like whenever we first got home from filming, Rachel had I was talking to Amanda and she was with Rachel for something. And so Rachel's like, where's my text message? Why don't you talk to me? And I'm like, Rachel, like, please don't take this the wrong way. I love you with my whole heart, but I'm having pinch me moments right now.
Yeah.
I'm still feeling like, oh my God, I'm just this little loser fan that she's saying hi to out of pity because she wants to be nice to her fan. It's
Mhm.
not clicked to me yet, and it's not quite yet registered that we're friends,
Yeah.
And so I remember, like, before the reunion show, I was in my kitchen one day and she called me, and I'm like, who is that? Oh my God, I got to stop what I'm doing. Turn the stove off. Can't be burning potatoes, but I'm not letting this call go to voicemail. And so it was just like, I don't know, we text almost every day now. I
Yeah.
actually was talking to her this morning, but it's just mind blowing to me because, like I said, I can remember being a little kid and like my family, I don't have any family. I don't like just my kids is the only family I've got. And so my mama raised me. She passed away in 2016, and we wasn't physically able to do anything. We never went anywhere. We never did anything. We watched TV together. And so it's kind of like I escaped the reality of my life through reality TV. It was what I bonded over with my mama. That was our thing. We sat down and watched TV together. And I can remember watching Rachel and loving her because nobody on her season liked her. Nobody liked
She
her.
was up
And she
against
didn't,
it.
yeah, she did not care to defend herself. She spoke up, she stood up for herself, and she fought dang hard to make it as far as she did, and then came back. The same thing happened her second time playing and ended up winning.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one thing that I kept thinking about the whole time that I was playing. Because I am cringy. I didn't want to go home first. I was humiliated at the thought of going home first. So when Amanda told me that Geraldine was gunning for me, it was like, oh, absolutely not, honey. It's me or you, and
Mm-hmm.
you're going home. Like, I will
Mm-hmm.
not go home first. And had I like calmed down for a second and sat back and thought about it, it wouldn't have been good TV. So I'm glad I didn't.
I'm
But
glad you
like, I
didn't.
probably would have handled that a little bit.
But
And
you know
I
what?
mean, what
Like,
can?
good players are boring. Like
I
the calm,
agree.
cool,
Good players are boring.
collected, like fun players, like chaos. Like you want chaotic energy. Like television is big. It's everything personified, right? Like
Absolutely.
these people who, like you say, slide to the end. Like it's what makes Kuzi so much fun to watch because she's a good player, but she's also like chaotic and messy, but like not messy. Like she's
Yes.
calculated, sorry, not messy, but like she can be messy if she gets a little bit too like frustrated. If you piss her off, like don't mess with her kind of situation. And like I
Mhm.
love that energy, right? Like it's why she has such a good following. Same with
Yeah.
Rachel.
I
Rachel didn't
agree.
give a
I
shit.
agree.
Like
Yeah.
photo grab your life vest, like she
It's
was
like,
coming for you.
absolutely. It's like, listen, honey, I'm messy, but I ain't riding coattails. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
may be messy, but I ain't riding the dad burn thinking coattail one, get around somewhere. And so, yeah, but no, the whole time I was thinking about Rachel. Like, it was like everybody was coming for me because I screwed up my own fault. But it was like, you know what? I can sit here and be quiet, or I can sit here and I can be like people that I've watched. I can be Rachel Riley and defend myself
Mm-hmm.
right here. And so I'm very proud of myself. I have no regrets because I defended myself and I survived. I survived two of them, by the skin of my teeth, but I did survive two of them. And so
These
I don't know.
shows
I'm very proud of
too,
myself.
these shows, I'm very proud of you because like it's such a big cast. And with two people going home,
Mhm.
like minimum a night, the fact that you are a memorable player, like is just what like that's the thing that people say to me. I'm like, oh, I went home early, and they're like, but dude, there's 20 people. I'm still trying to learn people's names. And like you were gone episode 3 and I still remember you. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
huge. And same with you. It's
Four,
like when I was
episode four,
episode 4, I meant
episode
me.
four.
I meant me. I was gone episode 3, but like that's cool.
I'm
That's
just
cool.
kidding.
We'll bring it back to you, Michael. That's fine. I'm just kidding. But yeah, like exactly. Like you were gone
Oh,
episode 4 and I remembered you. You know what I mean? Like I remembered you like
yeah.
before my season started. And there's a lot of like cast that was on your show that I have to be reminded of where I'm like, oh yeah, that person.
Yeah.
Because they, maybe they didn't even skate through like in the background. They just didn't get the airtime. And it was because maybe they weren't
Yeah.
messy and crazy enough. Like sometimes you
Yeah.
gotta stand out, whether it's good or bad. Like,
Yeah, and it's funny because like I kind of knew who would go into what category because
mhm.
whenever me and Amanda got home, we would talk every single day. And she's like, "So how do you think this person's going to do? What do you think the edit's going to be?" And I remember running down the list with her, and I was like, "Okay, this person's the villain. This person's going to be hated by America. This person's going to be loved. This person's going to be invisible. This person's going
Mhm.
to be frustrating." And I remember, and I was right on every one of them. And we was
Yeah.
talking about it, and she's like, "It's so funny because you said it." Because I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I
You
was
watch it.
there. Yeah, I was there, and it was like, this is going to be a storyline. This is going to be TV. This is going because like being one vote separating me and the person who went home. I knew that there was going to be something that led to that dramatic moment. So it was going to be my cringy moment with Kate running through the woods. You better get rid of her. I'm getting rid of you. I knew, I knew those things would make it. And so, yeah, I don't know. It was super fun, experience of a lifetime. I would do it again in a heartbeat. Hope I get the opportunity to one day. But yeah, I could kind of pick up on that. And so my advice to anyone who would ever play Traitors or any reality show whatsoever, speak up. Speak up.
Mhm.
Never stay quiet. No matter what happens, do not stay quiet. So
The
that's it.
embarrassing moments pass too. Like you're watching your show like this, like you have your hands over your face when you're watching it. But honestly, like after that, it becomes fun. Like I feel like you really have to lean into it. You know what I mean? If you're going to be going on these shows,
Absolutely.
you have to be able to take a joke. You have to be able to make fun of yourself. You have to be able to lean into whatever character gets portrayed of you because that's it. It just is what it is. Right. So, like, I'm the bad actress. Like I'm the absolute worst. Like that's what people carry every podcast I've been on. They're like, so have you gotten better at acting? Like I wasn't a hired actress. If I was a hired actress, I wouldn't be doing reality TV. Like, come on, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to not be a traitor or whatever. Like, but you like I leaned into it. So
Yeah.
then I'd start podcasts where I'd be like, oh, well, like I didn't get my acting lessons before I went or whatever, just because you have to throw it out there and be yourself and understand that you can be the butt of the joke. You know what I mean? Like you're still alive. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like you're good.
I agree. There's so many people and they're like, it was the editing. And I'm like, well,
It was a
editing
bit
does
me.
play a big factor in a lot of things. And there is some cut and splice that goes into editing. Everyone knows that. But had I not done it, it wouldn't be on the editing room floor to begin with. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So just own it. I mean, it was good TV. So, and not to mention if you're dogging the editors and the production staff, you're probably not getting them back. But I
100%.
mean, I own it. I own it
Like,
completely. I was a mess, honey.
I
So
think even if they made me look messier, because they could have, like, I remember I texted
they
Leroy
could
when
have.
they had, oh yeah, when they had like just a clip of like mine and his conversation where I'm just like giving him these big puppy dog eyes, like, you're gonna vote me out. I texted him when I saw that preview and I screenshot my face and I was like, this right here is gonna be a crazy scene. And he was like, how are you feeling for that scene? Because me and him were actually talking for like, oh my God, it had to be an hour. And like that was when I started my breakdown because I had trusted him
Yeah.
and he, like, I don't know if it's just the type of guy that he is, but he like looked at me and was like, like he gave me the look like I'm voting you out. And that was when I realized that all my hopes and dreams were crashing in front of me. So I start talking to him and then I start trying to like backpedal and explain why I'm not a traitor. And then I start to unravel and I start to cry. And then I actually go in and I like haul Fierce aside and I'm like, this is what's going on. I have like all these people gathered around me and then I start crying and I'm like, I think it's Crystal and Crystal's behind me. Like it was a mess, a complete mess. And I think the only reason that they didn't use it is because they made us stop the game because we had to go for lunch. And I'm like, literally like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll stop. And I'm like screeching because I know I'm going. And it was just like, then I had like after lunch to try and like convince people, but we weren't allowed to talk about the game. And so it was the round table that was my only opportunity to turn people after that. So like they made me
Yeah.
look pretty good compared to how I could have looked. Like the conversation, even with me and Leroy, it looked like just like a quick little thing where I was like, oh, okay, you're gonna vote me out. I'm gonna go over here and like talk to Mike. But like, oh dude, that could have been so much worse.
I love that. I do. I love that.
Yeah, it
So,
was.
is Big Brother like the only show? Like, what kind of reality shows do you have in Canada? Because I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've never heard of none of those shows that those 10 people are from, except for Big Brother, Survivor, and Drag Race, just because they're so
Yeah.
popular. But the other ones, I've never heard of those.
So the one Leroy in apparently was an American show. It's called The Brigade.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I didn't either. He told me about it, but I think you can get it here. So I am gonna watch it, Leroy, if you're watching. I'm sorry I haven't watched it yet, but I will. Dom was on a thing called Game of Homes, but apparently that only lasted like 2 seasons back in like 2013. So that was a little while ago. I don't remember that. May was on Master Chef. You guys have Master Chef.
I've heard of Master. Yeah, we have Master Chef.
Yeah, yeah. So she was on
So
Master Chef
we
Canada.
got to go back. We got to go back. I'm not going to
Mhm.
ask you the obvious question about Dom. I'm going to say if he was on a 2 season show in 2013, how iconic must he have been to be
Dude.
remembered 10 years later? I'm
So
going to have to go
from
find the show and watch him because
you needed to get the
he was
clips.
not. Yeah, I need to because he's not memorable for me on this show, but obviously it makes sense why because he was eliminated without a big dramatic exit. So because
Yeah.
the same thing happened with Amanda, she was not eliminated game format, so she just
Mhm.
basically was wrote off. So I'm gonna have to go find him because the fact that he's remembered 10 years later from a 2 season show just instantly is like he's won. He's
He's
entertaining.
got to be good.
So I have
Yeah.
to go
So
find that.
the
Yeah.
clips I've seen of him, he's very fiery. like he's
Oh, okay.
funny, like not in a bad way, like just in a like the renovation isn't going my way, so he's got like a quick fuse kind of thing, but like in an entertaining, like
Yeah.
really comical kind of way. And like even on the show, I would just be laughing because I was just Dom was like one of my guys, right? Like he was one that I absolutely knew, believed that I was a faithful, like we were tight. And I remember like sitting and talking to him, and I was like, Dom, tell me what happened. Cause this big dramatic thing happened with like Donna and Colin, like the first episode. And I'm like, ooh, tell me what happened, like trying to get in on the gossip. And he's just sat there because he's got like high morals and high values. And I'm like, what are you doing on the show? And he's just sat there and he's like, folded his arms. He's like, listen, I am not going to go talking about anybody behind their back. He's like, I'm not here for gossip. That is not me. He said, I will talk to you about your family. I will talk to you about my life, but I'm not going to do this. He said, she said stuff. And I'm just like, I remember going, okay, I'll respect that, trying to play the game. But in my head, I'm like, why are you here? Why are you here? Right. So it actually took him a couple of days before he was like, okay, I'm going to jump in. But like, even when he wasn't quote unquote playing the game, he was still playing the game. So he wasn't spreading
Yeah.
rumors. He wasn't playing like the whisper game, but he was still trying to find the traitors and like giving out his theories and everything. And he was just, the only way I can describe Dom is a character, just a really
Yeah.
fun character. Like you definitely, I'll get him to like see if he can send us some links for his other show.
Yeah, I have to go find the show for sure because like I said, the fact that he was remembered 10 years later is like, okay, there's something about him that's good TV. I need to
Yeah.
go watch that. But like you were talking about like the connections and not talking about people. Listen, first, let me just say, I hope Mike wins. I really do. I because the guy's been a traitor and he's worked his tail off and he's outlasted the original two. I know he's going to recruit, and that last minute recruit usually does really well. So I actually reached out to him and I was like, bro, you deserve this. You better choose wisely. I know you chose like 4 months ago and it's already over, but you better choose wisely. Um, but so I've been talking to Mike. I really like Mike a lot, and I do hope he wins because I think he deserves the win. Um, but I was thinking about like Cerie, she had these bonds with people. She formed very tight knit, close personal relationships. And you don't really see it from anybody else on her show. It didn't make the edit except for hers because obviously it's tied into a storyline.
Mhm.
But I noticed on the last episode, Mike at the round table was like, I just kind of talk to everybody. I don't have this type bond. I don't have this and that and this and that like you and Gerline do talking to Koozie. And so was there top bonds on your show? Because like me and Christian were like this. Me and Christian were never voting against each other. We were tight.
Mhm.
And so did you guys have that just didn't make air?
That was what I was trying to do. So that was my game strategy going into it because I was like, okay, I'm a Big Brother fan. I'm going to go into this show. I'm going to make really close relationships so that, even though I am a traitor, even if I am a traitor, people won't want to vote me out because I figure if you make
Yeah.
the close bonds and then as you get closer to the end, they're going to trust you. Like you need to build trust. It's a game about deceit and you cannot deceive someone unless they trust you. So that was my goal going into it. So there were close bonds. I think my closest was Donna, honestly, and I was going to cut her first day. But I ended up getting really, really close to her. And then I was like, okay, I should keep her around because she's the only one who's like really, her and Dom were the people that like really trusted me, and Trevon. I clicked really well with Trevon. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, like Trevon and Mel A, they were like, completely stuck together. Like not stuck together, but like they bonded really well. Like you saw, he had quite the episode when she got eliminated.
Yeah.
Kuzi got along. Kuzi had some Sari type relationships. Like she did. She had like the Sari mist that she has. Kuzi had that a lot. Like there was a lot of
Yeah.
people that she just like, they just didn't think, like, look at Donna. Donna's like, it can't be Kuzi. It just cannot be Kuzi. Like she made some really good bonds. I don't know if I can think of anybody else offhand. Like I always thought Leroy was making bonds with people, but I think he's just really hard to read because like I thought him and Rick were tight. I thought him and Kevin were tight. I thought I was tight with them. I thought him and Crystal were really tight. They like got along really well. Crystal and Mary were tight. I don't know. I can go through 20 people now. I'm trying to think about
Yeah.
them all, but
I loved yeah. I loved how like sassy Crystal was. I really
oh
want to see
yeah.
Crystal again. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a fan, I want to see Crystal on another show because she was sassy, and I love sassy.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's sassy and then there's mean, and like I had mean women. I had a bunch of old mean women on
You did.
our show.
Yeah.
We had the
Yeah.
housewives, and they were cruel. I mean, they
Yeah.
were cold hearted and had no moral standard whatsoever to get airtime. But now there's some people who are just sassy and
Yeah.
not fall into that mean category. And I feel like Crystal was very sassy, and I want to see her again because I feel like right when she came alive, she was
Yeah,
cut
she was out.
loose. So
Me and Crystal really did connect immediately. And then, I got picked to be a traitor and she knew I was a traitor. So she just kind of like detached and I was
yeah,
acting different. And I think she detached because it was hurting her to like
yeah,
know that she was going to vote me out. But like she was so intuitive and I'm so upset that like a lot of her got cut at our roundtable. This is why I'm like, there needs to be a roundtable because me and her were honest to God knocking heads. Like we were
yeah.
fighting each other at that roundtable where I was like, I think I told her to shut the F up at one point because like when other people would talk, she would be like, that's deflection. Oh yeah, well now I can definitely tell like this is why she's a traitor, and she would like do these little side comments, and that's when I was like, Crystal, shut up. And then she would like come at me like we really did have like this crazy intense roundtable. And I'm so
Yeah.
sad because I feel like the way that it got cut doesn't make a lot of sense for why other people voted for her either. It was like, it
Mhm.
wasn't me being like, oh, it's Crystal. So then like three other people decided to vote for her because I said her name. Like there was like, I provided evidence, but then she would like provide evidence about why I was a traitor. And then like we would argue each other and say this one, like I said a couple of things about how like she told me to vote out Colin and Donna. Like I can't remember exactly, but like there was something about Colin and Donna that I said. And she was like, that's a lie. And I'm like, that's a lie. Like, we just kept like, it was like who's who. It's almost like when you have like in a cartoon when there's two people who are identical and one's a clone and they're like, I'm the real Spider-Man or whatever. Like it was kind of like that at the
Yeah.
table. It was like, no, she's a traitor, I'm a traitor. It was wild. She's so keen. She picked up, I'm pretty sure, on every single traitor.
Yeah.
And I mean that's why she got out. But like I would love to see her play another game.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you're allowed to answer this because your show's
Mhm.
still airing, you're under contract. But was there any moment that you were just floored didn't make it to air? That you're like, oh, that was good TV, or what in the world was going on? Why did
Okay.
this not make it?
So I'm putting out my hair because I'm so warm. As you can tell, my face, see how red my face is? I'm like sweating. I thought it was going to be really warm or really cold, so I turned up my heat. Anyway, now I'm too warm. So basically, when I was talking to Leroy at the end of the conversation that I had with him, I actually said to him, I was like, so like there is no changing your mind. Like you are 100% voting me out. And he was like, well, it's never 100%. It's like 99. I was like, so you're 99% voting me out. And he just like looked me in the eye. He said yes. And I was like, well, what the fuck am I doing still talking to you? And I turned and I walked away. And then I was like, that didn't make it. I was like, that was some good TV. Like, so
Yeah,
that that
that was like
that
three
me.
snaps, you
Yeah,
know?
and I was like, I was sassy pants there, and they didn't put in like what I had. So there was a couple of it was honestly, I was mostly surprised at like the fighting that I did. Like I had certain like I did a lot of I fought hard, and I was surprised that
Yeah.
my fights didn't make it. And I think it was just because of the time. Like I think they just there was a time restrict to get everything in the episode. They just can't air everything. So, they had to go
Yeah.
whatever way they needed it to go to fit what they could in. But yeah, there was just like a lot of fights. And there was one time the night before at the round table where everybody was kind of like on Donna and Colin. And Donna is a lot. Like she's got like so much energy and she's just like so excited and she's a lot like myself. That's why we bonded. And when she was at the round table, Mary had said to her, like, because Donna was like, why do you think I'm a traitor and all this? And Mary was like, Donna, I don't think you're a traitor, but like you're being too much. And what Mary was trying to convey was like, you're in this game, you're making it so that people think that you're a traitor because you're such like this ball of energy. But it came out as like, Donna, you're too much, like lower your don't shine as bright kind of thing. And so that triggered me at the table. So like I was very, very quiet. Like you can see in the first round table, I don't say a thing because I was like, I'm getting like ambushed here tonight. Like I was so afraid I was going to get sent home that first night. So I didn't say much. But when
Yeah.
Mary said that, I like snapped because there's just something like I'll always pick up for somebody who's like being told to tone it down. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
that's how I took it when Mary was like, you're being too much. And I just like snap. And I'm like, don't you say that she's being too much. And I was just like full on come out with it. And I just explained, I'm like, Donna, you shine or something like that, like across the table, like prepping her up. And then Mel A jumps in. She's like, yeah, that's right. Like that's the teacher in her. And like, she's got such a good heart. She was just like, that's right, Melissa. Like, I also don't like when people say that you're too much. Like you be who you are. And like, so we kind of like turned the table into like this like positive circle. So I don't know if I'm surprised that didn't make it in, but I was like kind of disappointed that it didn't make it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
understand
but
that. It's
but
funny
yeah.
because like our roundtables, there's a lot in our roundtables too. Like we saw the moment that Kate flipped her card over, you could tell that her own name was wrote.
Mhm.
And then in episode 4, like if you look closely, there's an overhead shot of me writing. You can see that Kyle's name was wrote on my chalkboard, but I erased
Right.
it and wrote Kate. And in the middle, like me and Kyle got into a little bit of an argument, and half of the argument was shown. But I literally grabbed my chalkboard in the middle of the round table and just wrote his name down and flipped it over. Like, I'm ready to vote. And it just said, Kyle, I'm set like this. And it went on for like 45 minutes. It went on for like
Yeah.
45 more minutes. And I'm like, my God, Alan, could you not have ended it on a good note? So I grabbed it and erased it real quick. And I looked over at Cody and was like, I'm so dramatic, ain't I? I'm emotionally unstable. He's like, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I was like, could you not have ended it when I voted for Kyle? That way I wouldn't have had to look so dumb. But yeah, it was pretty embarrassing. I just grabbed it and erased it real quick.
Oh.
But
Okay.
yeah, we had a
I'm
lot of
gonna
moments like that too.
It's so good. It's like that's why I'm like, we need uncut stuff. Like I get that they're never gonna do that, but
Yeah,
like how great would that be, you know?
it'll be good.
So okay, I won't keep it too much longer. I do want to ask the reunion show that you guys had. That wasn't planned, was it? That was like after the show
And
aired, it was like crazy.
yeah, initially it was not part of the plan. There was no talks of a reunion, and then the show was wildly successful. And they're like, people don't know what's going on. We're having a reunion, and so they flew us all to New York, and they put us in separate hotels. We weren't even in the same hotel room or the same hotel in
That's
general. There was like
annoying.
five. Yeah, there was like five of us in a hotel, and they strategically put the five that they knew were already good friends, like me and Amanda, Christian, Stephanie, and Geraldine and Rachel were all in a hotel together. But it was obvious that we all got along great. So there
Hmm.
was nothing that's like, okay, there's no drama between these people. They don't have time to hash it out. If they see each other in the lobby, they're going to hash it out on air. And so other people were like 20 miles uptown in another
Wow.
hotel in different little sections. And so, yeah, the reunion show is really when Twitter fell in love with me.
Yeah,
But
because it was like, I don't know. I was just like, I'm so annoyed because we want one. But I'm
yeah,
like, we don't hate each other. We're too Canadian or something. I don't know. Like, there's just no, there's a bit of drama, I will say. So, but it's since the show aired, actually, that there's been a
yeah.
little bit of drama where
Oh,
people are like
man.
watching the edit and they're like, so like we've all got like a group text and people are like, hold on, what did you say in last night's episode? So, there's a little bit of drama. So I'm like, come on,
Saucy?
CTV, like, let's get a reunion going. But honestly, I think we're just too boring to get one. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, is it because we all get along? They don't want to give us
Yeah,
a reunion? Because, like, I'll get mad about things that happen on the show on TV because, like, there's real
yeah.
life me. Like, it was a television show, I'll let it go. But if you want to dig in and hash out the show, then we can hash out the show. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely. Yeah, that was what, my little altercation that I had with Cody. Um, I talked to Cody when I got home. As
mhm.
soon as I got home, we reached out, we chatted several days, quite a bit back and forth. And, he basically was like, man, I felt so bad for you. I hated that everybody was gunning for you. The show was taking an emotional toll on me. I felt awful. I'm so sorry. You were great TV though. Nothing personal, bro. I love you. And I was like, love you too. Whatever. And I didn't think anything of it. But then watching the show, you were talking about what you said in the edit. Watching the show back, it was like I was okay with the fact that you brought up my name at the first round table, even though you saw me having a full blown anxiety attack. I could barely breathe. I was bawling my eyes out, hyperventilating. I literally had to go see the psych about 20 minutes before the round table, and I just disappeared because I was having an anxiety attack. And so you saw that and you knew that I wasn't a traitor. Like you knew that I wasn't. And you
Mhm.
very easily could have, diverted it to somebody else for the sake of me not hyperventilating and having a mental breakdown. But you called me out specifically and opened the roundtable with me. And so then I was like, you know what? Even then, Michael, no big deal. There's $250,000 on the line. Anyone's going to do what they can do for $250,000. I was shady AF. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So whatever, just throw the attention on me. Nothing personal. Maybe I'm a shield. But then watching him in the traitor turret say, let's murder Michael. Okay, well, if I'm your shield, why are you wanting to murder me? Because you want
Yeah.
to keep your shields, you don't murder them. So not
Mhm.
only did you want to banish me, you also wanted to murder me. And
Just want
so it
me
was like,
out.
why what did I do to you? You know what I mean? So I do take it personal about the fact that you saw me have an anxiety attack. So then during the reunion show, I sat there very quietly. They edited it to make it look like I said my portion before his, but no,
Mhm.
his comment was made before mine and I brought it up later. But what had happened was he was talking to Sari and he was very upset. He's like, you were a traitor, you were a liar, you did this, it very well could have been Rachel that went home, but you and Christian changed your votes and sent me home instead. And I was like, I know good and well, son, you are not sitting here yelling at this woman for playing the game and doing to you what you done to me. Like, you are not sitting here right now. And I sat there and I looked over at Azra, who was sitting beside me, and I was like, is he serious right now? And she's like, I'm not gonna say what she said because I don't want to hash anything out in case she watches. But she had very
I don't know.
similar
I don't know if they're
beliefs.
going to see this, Michael. I got to be completely honest with you. I
Yeah.
don't know if they're going to sit down and watch this.
She had very similar thoughts on it as I did. And so then I look over and the host, whatever his name is, Andy Cohen, he's like getting his little earpiece. Yeah. So Michael, and I knew that they heard me on the mic. They heard mine and Azra's conversation, and that opened up the door, and I just let it all out.
Mhm.
And so yeah, but Twitter loved me for it because I guess Twitter hates Cody too. But yeah, no, it was all
he's not
good.
great on Twitter. He's not very popular on Twitter, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, Team Janelle, baby. But yeah. So
Why are him and Janelle like not friends? I'm
during
like, give me the
the
gossip.
off during the most recent All Star season that they were on together, he targeted her.
Mm.
Just because she's like a strong physical player. She actually used to hold the record for the most comp wins, and then
Oh, I
somebody just in a
remember.
recent season beat her. So I think at the time she did hold the record for the most comp wins when they were on All Stars together. And so he just targeted her because she was a strong woman, pretty much, honestly. And so Americans didn't like that. And so that's whenever I let it out. I wasn't a bro or a dumb girl. I wasn't a co-ef, And
Right.
so yeah, whatever.
But it made
Is
for
what it is.
good TV. Listen, that's all that
It made for
matters.
good
You want the
TV.
good
Yeah.
fucking TV, right?
Yeah,
So,
he unfollowed me actually after that. So
so you guys
I
are
reached
not
out to him and I was like, "Hey, bro, no, we've not talked since." He unfollowed me, so I unfollowed him back. There was no sense of pretending we was friends if we're not.
Cody.
But I did reach out to him, and I was like,
Call
"Bro,
Michael.
you're a TV veteran. You're a TV veteran. I'm new at this. I mean, I thought we was just making TV." And he left me
Yeah.
on red, didn't respond. So it is what it is. I will.
Listen, when it comes to
So
this
there's
stuff,
our
like,
drama.
yeah, when it comes to this stuff, like, you gotta leave it all there. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those
Absolutely.
things, like, you do it and then you go get a beer after. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. Is like my
Yeah.
castmates. I'm like, okay, guys, when are we getting drinks? Like, I talk to Kevin all the time. Like, Kevin is the reason, like, not the reason. I'm obviously the reason. I don't actually blame other people for my eviction. Like, I got out because I said too much or did too much or whatever. Like, I'm not gonna ever backtrack and be like, it's your fault, I'm gone. I will say it in interviews and stuff because it's
Yeah.
funny. I'll put it up on my Instagram, like, it's your fault, but like, it's not actually what I believe. You know what I mean? Like, my belief system won't let me blame
Yeah.
other people for my mistakes, right? But like, whenever like I talk to him, like, I'll write him all the time when I'm watching the show. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is going on. Oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. Like we're friends. Do you know what I mean? Like, I talked to him when I got home and I was like, okay, so
Yeah.
if I'm ever on Big Brother, what should I change about my game? Because I obviously didn't do well on this one. And like we've had these conversations, but like on, Twitter and on Instagram and everything, I'm like, oh my God, Robert Martin, the reason that I got evicted. And you know what I mean? Because it's fun. But
Yeah.
like, realistically, I don't take that to
Yeah.
heart. I'm not like, he's the reason I was sent home because he's saying my
Absolutely.
name. Like, but that's
Yeah.
fine.
No, I
Okay.
get it.
I feel like I've taken up all of your time. I have so many more questions that I want to talk to you about. So maybe we'll do like a two-parter because
Follow
this was
me.
this ended up being a Traitors episode.
I know we were supposed to talk about live. I was supposed to show you listen, if you're ever in the South, if you ever
Okay.
move to a southern state, you need one of these. This
Okay.
isn't mandatory. It's a requirement to live in a southern house. It's basically like a cursive prayer, something about
Mm-hmm.
Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
on like an old piece of like, I don't know, wood. They
Mm-hmm.
go and it's like a live, laugh, love. Every southern house has one of these. My house is not a farmhouse. I don't know why I have this, but it's
It's a requirement. It's why
yeah,
you
it's a
have it.
requirement. And I just dropped my earbud again. This
The
thing keeps
one I
falling out.
have,
But
I'll show you the one I have. Hang on. I've got this one. See, this is why, are we like kindred souls? So this is mine. It's in my office.
I love it.
It's like hardwood. My girlfriend got it for me after I like bought or I sold her, helped her buy a house. Basically, she got it to me like as a gift saying
Yeah.
thank you. But it's my favorite quote. It's never give up on a dream just because of the time it will take to accomplish it, because the time will pass anyway. Which is just,
Listen,
isn't that such a good quote?
That is a
Fun.
good quote. And it reminds me of something my mama used to tell me. She would
Mhm.
always say, she'd be like, you need to go to school to be a doctor. And I was like, Mama, I don't want to be a doctor. It takes like 10 years to be a doctor. She's like, listen, 10 years is going to pass anyway, honey. May as well be rich in 10 years. And so obviously I didn't. So I dropped out of school. But yeah, so
It was
she
too
would
many
always say
years.
stuff like that too. Yeah, the time's going to pass anyway.
Yeah.
So
But it's true. It's up to us what we do with our time, right? So, oh my
agreed.
God, we could get into another hour of this, but I will let you go. I will
Has it
let
been
you
an
wrap this
hour?
up. I think it's been an hour. Yeah, if not more.
I could totally keep going. Like,
I
I mean,
know, I could
yeah,
too. We'll have another one. We'll have a part two. I'll say goodbye to everybody. We
absolutely.
can have a little chat because I think I was going to tell you something. I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Now I remember. So we'll say goodbye to the podcast because I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is a little bit of a rough draft. I don't have like music cut or anything yet, but if you like the conversation, even if you don't, if you're just like me or Michael, please like and subscribe to the YouTube
And who
channel.
doesn't?
Who doesn't? So everybody listening to this obviously better do it. Like and subscribe, share it with your friends, leave a comment. I'm not really sure what else to do because it's been a while since I've done this podcasting thing. So I'm just going to say goodbye. And maybe I'll come back in and re-edit this one day and add some things. So thank you, Michael, for coming on the show. Where can people
Yeah.
find you?
I'm on Instagram at Michael Davidson underscore. So other than that, I think I have a TikTok and a Twitter. I don't know my Twitter name or my login because I only created it when the show dropped. But then it was messy and mean,
Yeah.
and I didn't. So I don't even know what my little handle is. I deleted the app. I have TikTok. It's at motorcycle, like but it's spelled weird. It's like MOTORCYCHAEL, like motorcycle and Michael come out.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
I'm going to go
I thought
follow
it was
you on
clever at the
TikTok.
time. Well, yeah, I don't really post there very much. I don't use it very often either. I did post like a cooking video one time that went viral, so I got like 15,000 followers overnight over a broccoli recipe.
Oh my
But
gosh.
other than
How
that,
do I do that?
I'm mainly on Instagram. Instagram is where you need me at.
And
So
you post like awesome
that's it.
memes on Instagram too. Like, I think we bond over most of the memes that we post.
Yeah,
So,
I do post memes on my story a lot. I post it on my
yeah.
story so I don't aggravate people in my feed. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
do the
I'm
same
good.
thing. So, all right. Well, thank you for being here and thank everybody for listening. Tune in next week when I have somebody else that I can't reveal yet because they're not booked. Bye.